Hey, so you've got a bunch of discs and you're going to play a tournament or you're going to go to your local course. Well, how do you decide what disc to bring, what bag to bring? How do you get ready for that? Well, we're going to talk about it. Thanks to my buddy Randy asking that question right after the intro. Okay, guys, what I've got here is a mess of discs and a mess of bags, and my life can be a mess too. But it was a great question my buddy Randy asked about how do I decide what bag to bring for different situations. And so what I think I piece this out, and I think what I want to do is start with the tournament bag and work my way down. Because that's kind of how I do things. I have my everything including the kitchen sink, and then according to what I'm going to do, I'll take from that to do other things. So that's where I kind of go with this, but you can jump in at anywhere along the lines with how many discs you have, what you're playing, etc. I hope this is going to help you out. Okay, so I've talked about this, so I'm not going to get in super detail because I just had a video a little while back talking about my tournament cart. But a couple things that I'll follow up with that is, once again, I would, instead of spending the money on the seat, even though I like it a lot, it jiggles. I've had offers to have it welded and do some other stuff like that. I think it was a great investment, sort of, but I would instead buy the cooler that attaches instead of the seat. And then I just use one of these stools. You can hang it on. You got plenty of places to hang it on. And then when you get to wherever you're going, you just pop it and sit it down. And that way, you're not fooling with the weight because it's heavy and it clanging around. But love these guys too. Okay, so for my big throw the kitchen sink at it, tournament ready bag, I have everything that I've talked about before, from my putters to my distance drivers, in flippy, straight, and overstable in just about every level. But now we're not going to get into speeds here because that's going to kind of be up to you. You know, do you do a 9-speed or a 10-speed or 11-speed, or do you jump from a 9 to a 13? That's totally your flavoring, your call. But what I have here is I have my main bag here, and then I have this little holster that I'll use for doing running rounds. It really, I can pack about 5 discs in here. It's from Infinite Discs, but it straps to the leg here. It's really sexy, you know, the dad bod and everything. It works really well for me. My kids won't even be seen in public when I put that thing on. But it's great to carry just 4 or 5 discs and just go running, hands-free. The only downside is you don't have a place for water. You need it out here. But I use it on this cart as a place for my go-to discs, the ones that I'm going to be using most of the round. For instance, I've always got my putter right here. Then I've got my trusty mid-range, and then my other point-and-shoot putter, and then my trail. And now this can change according to the course and what I'm going to be leaning on. I may take out the trail because it's going to be real windy, and then I grab the boss and put it back in here. But that way I'm spending most of my time not fooling with down here, but I'm up here. But the whole thing I'm doing when I'm getting ready for a tournament, hopefully I've played the tournament and I've already mapped out every hole. But let's say I can't go to the course beforehand. I would hopefully watch some YouTube or some other stuff to see what the course was like. But I'm going to build a bag for every possible scenario so that I've got, you know, I've got the super beefy, overstable boss all the way down to the flippy range and my super flippy spin. And I'm taking and making sure that I have a disc for every shot I need. But that's not all. I also, because it's a tournament, and unless it's a place that I know really well and I know how much you can lose a disc or you don't lose a disc, you know, I don't lose a lot of discs out here at Inverness, but there's some opportunities on hole 16. But most of my discs I don't lose, so I don't have to worry so much. But going to a tournament, especially if you're going to be a big course that you're going to be way out and you can't get access to stuff, you want to have duplicates of stuff. And so that's what a lot of this stuff is here. I make sure that whatever bag disc I have here, I have at least one duplicate of it. And I have that, so let's say I lose, heaven forbid, I lose my bullseye Berg, I've got another one that I can grab that feels similar. But that means I have to put in time and work with that disc so that it doesn't feel like a stranger if I lose this guy. And the same for all these. And that's where the trouble begins, because, you know, for my approach disc, right now I'm throwing an Entropy. What do I have in here? Yeah, I'm throwing this guy. But if I lose this guy, I need to be able to grab a Toro or one of these others and go, okay, yeah, I can swap it out and I still feel confident. This may be first round, I'll lose this, but I got to play a second round. Well, this one's ready to go in the bag. So it's not just building a straight bag, it's having the what ifs and prepared for that. So for instance, I've got several reactors, several hexes, especially in the disc that I tend to lean on the most, my point and shoot discs. I want to make sure that I'm comfortable with all these. Like this is, I believe this is a detour and a hex, depending on the wind, the situation. If I lose this Mustang or I feel like the Mustang's just a little too straight, maybe I want to go for the detour. I've got extra discs that I can tune according to the course and according to how I'm throwing, because some days I'm throwing just dead straight and other days I'm dropping here. So I may need to go, instead of this, I may need to switch over to the detour. So you're thinking when you're building your bag, cart, whatever. The cart is secondary, you know, but it's nice to have on big courses, but most of the time I'm not using the cart unless I'm caddying or it is a big course. I'm going to the bag, and we'll talk about it in a second. But I want to have backups that I can go out on the course, and even if I'm practicing and I go, boy, I wish I had this. I have these guys waiting in the wings. I have them sitting in the car, or even if I know there are a couple of them question marks, I may tuck them in extra spots to have them ready to go just to test out while I'm out there. Or if I know that I'm throwing over water at a tournament, I already have a couple of extra discs in case it goes in the water. I just pull the next one out, and I've got them waiting on those trouble shots. Does that make sense? You want to have the discs ready to go that you're confident in, but you also want to have the what ifs if you lose one. You've got something that you're going to place and not feel like, crap, I just got a brand new Crave. Is it going to fly like my old Crave? Well, maybe, but if you haven't played with it and gotten it ready, it's not going to be the best backup for you. It's better than nothing. It's better than, you know, just not having anything, but you want to have these prepared. So that's why I often have a box of backups when I go to the course, if it's a tournament or whatever. Okay, that's big picture. We're going to serious tournaments, you know, we're trying to do some pro level stuff. But for most people, you're not going to have to worry this in depth, okay? You know, umbrella always good, stool always good, but most of the time what I'm rocking, if I go to, one of the reasons why I do love the carts though is to be able to carry double water, because let's face it, you're out there in a tournament, hydration is so key, but these suckers get heavy. Throwing extra food and stuff in there is really good to be able to have a cart just to take that weight off, but be able to carry more stuff. And listen, it's a lot of times these tournaments, it's a war of attrition. Can you stay upbeat, energized, and you don't want to be carrying this extra weight if you don't have to. Okay, but now we're just going, let's say I'm going up to a little one-day tournament, a flex tournament or whatever. I'm going to get rid of the cart, and I'm going to just go with my grip bag. Now, I got this grip bag a great deal from a guy. I'm not a huge bag connoisseur. I think there are probably some better bags out there. I've been looking at some different ones that maybe, but I'm liking this a lot. Okay, now as soon as I take it off the bag, that's one of the reasons why I like the cart, is that kind of cart is because I can just put whatever bag I have on that cart. So it's not bag specific. I know you've got some other options for that, but I take it off and I immediately grab my Mojo riser and I slap it on. And the reason is a couple fold. First off, a lot of times you're playing in tournaments or whatever where it can be a little mucky or whatever. It doesn't add that much weight, but it keeps the bag up higher. And I really like it for a platform for if it's going to rain, because I can take my umbrella and settle it down right down into the bag so that I have this nice little kind of dry area here. It really does make it great for a tournament to have that Mojo riser bring everything up a little bit so I can get down underneath it. But also, I just have gotten used to having this on, and I just carry it around. I've enjoyed it. It's not for everybody, and there's certain times, like if I have to travel, go on an airplane or whatever, I just take the Mojo riser off and just rock the regular bag. Speaking of traveling, might as well talk about that as well. I will use this guy as kind of my carry-on bag. Even if I'm only going to take a few discs, I don't have a lot to take, I may carry this as my backpack carry-on bag because it's got a lot of great pockets that, you know, carry stuff. Probably wouldn't bring my rangefinder, etc., but I do like it a lot. The one niggle I don't like about the grip bag here is this guy right here on both sides. You know how many times I've come up to this bag to grab something and I just grab this guy to open it up and forget that's just an extension thing right there. I really wish this zipper was maybe down at the bottom so I wouldn't always grab it, but that's a tiny bit. I do like the bag, but like I said, I'm kind of looking at different bags. That may be something coming in the future, who knows. But so now I'm down to where I had back here, I had everything in the kitchen sink. I can still do about the same thing. I just have to tuck a couple extra discs on the side, put this in here, and cram a few in here. But over there, I had extras. For a regular tournament bag, I'm just gonna probably have to rock the ones that I need and maybe one extra, 2 at the most, and just hope I get through the round. And then I can always replace it after the round. But what I'm doing is I'm starting with my not bare essentials, my max essentials, what I need for tournament. And then every time I'm going to a new tournament or a new course, I'm deciding what can I keep and what can I put to the side. Because most of the time, if you're driving or whatever, you can just have the backup sitting in your car or whatever. But out on the course, I'm generally thinking, what does this course need? Hopefully I've played it before and I go, okay, I may even walk through all 18 holes and go, okay, hole number 1, I'm gonna be throwing this, hole number 2, I'm gonna be doing this. And let's face it, most of the time when we're playing, we're leaning on about the same 7 discs, you know, putters, mid-range approaches. So you can whittle this down. I try to take and get as few discs as I can in the bag because I'm getting old. I don't want to carry all this stuff. But depending on the tournament, depending on if it's a new course, I will probably pack more because I just don't know what to expect. If I'm going to the courses around here, I almost know instantly what disc I'm gonna put in my bag. And it's gonna be this, for this course, for Trustville, I'm gonna have these discs. Well, but for George Carter, I may have these discs because they're gonna ask me for some different shots. So I'm loading the bag according to the shots I'm gonna need to play, okay? Oh, another little side note, I have a Zuka hybrid cart that I made. Another great thing is adding one of these. You just get, you know, you can get online. But same thing as that little holster thing. I just hang it off the back. And these are, keep them up high. These are the ones I'm grabbing most of the time versus the one down in the bottom of the bag or bottom of the cart. Okay. So this is almost my tournament bag part 2. If I'm not bringing the cart, I'm bringing this, and then I'm whittling it down according to what's going on. But now let's say I'm gonna go to, say I went to Kudzu Cove last week. I didn't want to bring this whole thing through Kudzu Cove. So I then came and dropped down to this. Now this one will still handle a pretty good amount of discs, but I'm thinking, okay, what do I need? I'm gonna need my putters, approaches, mid-ranges, drivers, you know, but I only need 1 or 2. I don't need everything in the gamut. And so then I just start going, okay, yeah, I definitely need these guys. And then, do I need my straight birdie? Do I need my entropy? Do I need my, I'd probably go with my, now I'd whittle down to, now I want my flippy spin and then my straight pig. Those are kind of my standards in there. And then, so here's the thing. The question would be, I've got the entropy and the pig. Which one would win out? I probably don't need both of them for most of the courses. I just want one of them. Depends on what's going on. If I'm gonna have to lean on my forehand approach a lot, I may put both of them in and sacrifice another disc. But then mid-ranges. Okay, I love my mid-ranges. I've got an uplink, I've got a hex, I've got a, oh yeah, and my torpedo, which is also Pathfinder. Then I've got reactor, pyro, deflector. It's basically the whole gamut. Well, here's the thing. This is very particular, you know, I'm doing shades of throwing here. What I would probably do is I would probably grab the uplink. If I needed to whittle it down, because I didn't want to carry all of them, what I'd probably do is maybe the uplink, the torpedo, and the deflector. And if I was gonna add one more, because I wanted just a little more stability, I'd go with the reactor. So I'd go something like that. So instead of bringing 6 discs, I bring 4 or 3, or if I don't have a lot of space, I would probably go the flippy and the mid-range, and then I would use one of my more overstable, maybe a Firebird or even my my Boss instead of the deflector, because I could get away with it instead of this. Plus, I've got the entropy. This is almost just, this is a 3 and this is a 5, but they're kind of doing the same thing. So I decide which one I want to carry to do the work for what these two are doing. And then so I decide, yeah, I want to take these guys, and then maybe, okay, yeah, now I throw in my reactor. And so you're just simply building your bag according to what you think you're going to need and what shots you're going to have to play for that hole. And if you're not sure, then build the base first. I know for my mid-ranges, I want a flippy, straight, and overstable. But how overstable? Probably medium. Unless it's windy, then I want to shift everything a little bit more to the overstable. You see what's going on here is you're doing a puzzle, you're doing a game of what is the course going to require today. If it's windy, I'm going to need more overstable. So I shift everything over a little bit towards the stability. If it's calm and it's requiring more touchy shots through the woods, I'm going to probably shift more to the understable so I can do some more flip hyzers and stuff like that. And then you get into things like, if I'm playing it, this is my bag, and I love this bag for Inverness because I've played it a million times. A lot of times I'll play one disc rounds here. I played my last tournament, I'm pretty sure I played with just this bag here, and I think I had 10 discs max, and that was to have a couple backups just in case. You know, what if I need to get out of this shot or whatever. But I love this guy right here. Just for most of the time, this is the bag I'm rocking if I can, because it keeps it nice and simple, and I just throw in the main discs I need. You know, I keep my range and my berg for my approach and putters, and then I just fill in, okay, I'm gonna need one long distance, and then I'm gonna need some mid-ranges, I'm gonna need an approach, and I'm gonna need some fairways in there, but I'm really just keeping it nice and simple. And so now, let's say I'm going up to UAH in Huntsville. I know that course, it's a big course, it's gonna require more arm, more long throws. Well, then I'm probably not gonna wanna do this because I know I'm gonna be throwing over water and throwing some longer throws. So I'm gonna go at least here because I wanna add some more overstable drivers to the bag. Does that make sense? But I'm not done. I know it's crazy. This is where you get, it's crazy, we're crazy. Listen, we're throwing Frisbees in the woods. But here's two more things you need to think about when building your bag. Is it gonna be rainy? Because I like to throw premium plastic for the most part. You know, I love, see, that's just sweet right there. No, yeah, I like it. But when it rains, when it's humid or whatever, so often, that's why these guys are here. The Electron plastic or the DX plastic, the base plastic is a better grip. As a matter of fact, I just bought a couple extra discs in the base plastic because I knew I didn't have some good slots that I could replace. Like if it's gonna be rainy, I don't necessarily wanna be throwing the premium plastic because it goes from either super slick to real grippy, real fast, you know, it'll go back and forth. Whereas the DX plastic handles it better. But I realized there were some, after I did that other video, I realized there were some slots I didn't have some good backup DX or base plastic in case it rains. So in my backup bag, box or whatever, I've got, you know, drivers, and people say the G-Star plastic works really well. So I've got some longer distance in the G-Star. And then I've got just some great base stuff. Boy, this horny toad feels really good. And I can feel a little more confident throwing these in the rain. So then you've got to have some, you don't have to have, by the way, this is all over the top. Realize this is me being ridiculous in some ways, but this is where we love this stuff. And so I'm sharing with you kind of what goes on in my brain. But let's face it, you could go out with 1, 2, 3, 4 discs and win a tournament. It's all up to your skill, not the discs, okay? So I've collected discs. I've been playing for 30 years. I've collected a lot of discs. And so I have a lot more options. This is just to give you perspective in thinking about where I might want to go next. I'm not saying you have to have all these, but these are the things that come into my mind when I'm getting ready to go play a tournament. Do I have rain discs? And have I thrown them? Or am I comfortable with them? Do I have backups of the ones I love? Hopefully I have this base set that I really lean on for the most part, but then I'm shuffling in and I'm trying other discs that can be ready to go right after that. Now, the final thing, well, no, I got one more after that, sorry. It's gonna keep going. Glow discs. Do you play glow rounds? Well, I do, I love them. And especially some places, well, we're now in the summer, so some people, that's the only time to play because it gets so hot, they like to play in the evenings. Anyway, glow discs are great. Well, do you have a glow bag that you can lean on, you know, so you have a whole set when you need to go out and play. I actually have bags sitting around. Now, I don't have bags sitting around, but I have a stack of discs ready to go. If I'm gonna go do a glow round, I go grab those glow and throw them in, and it becomes my glow bag. And I'm ready to go, and I simply make sure that I have the base disc in the glow plastic. Now, the whole thing is, there's also, the problem with most of the glow is it's premium plastic. So we get into a little bit of the slickness if it gets wet. So if you can find some, you know, some older DX glow, whatever, it might not glow as well, but it may throw a little bit better. So there's a whole journey in just finding the discs that work well for you in the different conditions. You know, we can spend all day talking about all that kind of stuff. So that's the other kind of thing you're thinking about. If you're just throwing glow around with your friends out here just at night, you just get a few of them. But if you're gonna do glow rounds, glow tournaments, glow leagues or whatever, you're gonna wanna build up a little bit more. And once again, you might wanna think about, especially if you've got one that you really love, having a backup of it. Now, fortunately, most of the time, the glow plastic's easier to find than all the rest of the plastic. So you might not lose it as much unless you're throwing over water. But always think about having a backup, especially of your favorites. And then this is, speaking of bags, I love my practice bag from Atlas that I got just to throw. I can throw about 30 discs in here, and I use this all the time to go do field work if I'm not using my Tupperware containers. I just want to throw that out there. And then finally, the foundation guys got me thinking about this, and this is, I probably should have done this earlier because all y'all are gonna be checked out by now, and nobody's gonna leave comments about this. But they talked about building an ace-only bag. And what that means is they can only play with bags that they've actually aced with. And the question I have for you is, I've gotten a lot of aces over the years, but I've lost a couple of discs that I've aced with. And the big controversial question for today is, could I replace the disc I lost with the same type of disc? For instance, on hole number 6, I've aced it with a Thunderbird. Can I put a Thunderbird in, or does it have to be that one? Right now, I have the ones that have actually aced that I still have. But I thought that was kind of a fun thing. You can be thinking about building up an ace bag. It's more almost a trophy, but also a challenge for yourself. Can you build a full ace bag? So I've got stuff. One of my latest ones was with the Pro Pig, Star Pig. And this was over at Clay with the Thunderbird. Thank goodness I got a good T-Bird now, because beforehand, I really didn't have a good long distance besides this guy right here. And so, anyway, it's just something to think about. Not only think about building bags for tournaments, but maybe build bags for certain occasions or certain things, certain challenges, like your one-speed only bags, or you could have mid-range only bags. You know, you could develop something where you and your friends can challenge each other over what kind of bag you can bring out today. Hey, it's Wednesday. Let's do a 3-speed only round. So anyway, as usual, it's gone long, I've rambled, and I've tried to make some sense of this. But the joy of disc golf is you get to play with all this stuff. I mean, let's face it, there's joy in just the challenge of building your favorite best bag. And the thing is, I've got a good bag here, but my angst is, do I trade out, just got some new trails. So when do I take out the old trail and put in the new trail? Or I'm sort of liking my Thunderbird, but man, would I like another one of these a little bit better? So you're always kind of doing that dance of playing with your bag, trying to tune it up and get it just right. And then as soon as you get it just right, you lose a disc. But that's the joy of this thing. We're having fun. We're throwing discs, we're collecting discs, we're trading discs, we're buying discs, we're finding discs, we're drawing on discs. This is just such a fun sport. So anyway, there you go. I hope that helps answer a few more questions. Probably just gave you something to take a little nap by. But I kind of want to noodle on this, and it's just a lot of stuff. But if nothing else, I hope it allowed you to have a little bit, maybe 1 or 2 things in there you went, oh yeah, I need to think about this. Maybe about rain, maybe about glow, maybe about a cart, something like that. Just help you out a little bit, because I'm just here trying to give you a little bit of what I've been noodling on for many, many years. And so maybe I can get you a little step closer that you won't have to be as crazy as I am in the future. I hope not. Please, don't be as crazy as I am in the future. But anyway, I love this sport, and I love being able to help people figure stuff out, and I hope that helps you out a little bit, and I really do hope to see you out on the course.